SuperTalk Mississippi media production.
Have you been seriously injured? Mama Justice is here for you. Our medical team partners with top-notch doctors, surgeons, therapists, and urologists, ensuring a comprehensive recovery journey. If you've been injured, call Mama Justice today. We're here for you.
Oh, yeah.
Good morning, Mississippi.
Everything gonna be all right this morning.
Mornings with Richard Cross.
Oh, yeah.
Here on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Woo! Now, when I was a young boy, at the age of 5, my mother said I was gonna be the greatest man alive. But now I'm a man, way past 21.
Hello, good morning and welcome. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Good Tuesday to you. Today is June 9th, 2026, and we appreciate you making us part of your morning routine. And maybe you're into a routine by now. Summertime, maybe that routine is, hey, we'll catch you guys at 8 o'clock. But if you're still part of the 6 a.m. crowd, we are proud that you're here and wish you a good day today. Alongside Lance Tolbert, I'm Richard Cross. Mornings is presented by Community Bank, online at communitybank.net, rooted in our community. C-Spire text line is open, 601-879-4395, 601-879-4395. Lance, good morning.
Good morning, RC. I mean, you made a great point there. We may not have our normal 6 a.m. crowd anymore, so I've got to maybe hold back on my quality, one-liners, so save those for later in the day maybe.
Well, I don't know if you're ever supposed to save your best.
Yeah, you just got to roll with it, right? Always put your best foot forward.
The party starts at 6.
Doesn't matter who's watching.
You knew it started at 6. You were invited. And if you chose to, you run the risk of missing out sometimes if you don't show up for the party.
Well, I agree 100%. This is where you want to be at 6 a.m. And then, all the way through the show because it is compelling. But the first hour, we give you all kind of goodies.
Yeah. Not just routine, similar day to day, but things change, and we want to try to make sure that you're there. Give it to the people who earned it at 6 a.m. on the C-Spire text line.
There we go.
We get another one that says, I'm always here.
That's
so
right.
We appreciate that.
Thank you so much.
If you listen every morning, kind of starting at 6, I am genuinely curious. What time do you get up? 1. And 2, do you set an alarm clock?
I had a great experience yesterday. I was getting some pine straw delivered, way more than I could bring to the house. So, the Landing, who I deal with a great deal, they're always great. And I was like, yeah, man, I don't really need it till tomorrow, maybe Wednesday. They're like, oh, yeah, it'll be there in 10 minutes. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, so he showed up in 10 minutes and backed it up and dumped all the pine straw out. We were laughing for a second, and I said, yeah, I work on a gardening show on Saturdays, so I kind of got to get this done by Saturday, so Garden Mama. And as soon as I said, he looked over, he goes, what's your name? I said, I'm Lance. He goes, oh, man, I listen to you guys every morning.
How about that?
And I was like, oh, man, so we got to visit for a minute. But Glenn Williams, thank you, such a great guy, and really appreciated the conversation. And it's always such an honor to get to meet folks that listen and participate with us every day. Thank you. It's a wonderful experience. It really is.
Agree with that. Absolutely. Up at 5, drive from Selmer to Iuka every day, here every morning.
There you go.
Appreciate that.
And I love that. He goes, well, what music you going to play tomorrow? I said, we're going to do blues tomorrow. He goes, good. He goes, Country Western Wednesday, though, is my favorite. I said, I think we've kind of gotten to that's most everyone's favorite now.
Oh, these are going to be hard to keep up with now because they're coming in fast. That was JT and Selmer who said he drives from Selmer to Iuka.
We got a 2:45 at work by
2:45 at work by 4. Man. On the road to work out of town while listening in the mornings.
That's like baker's hours.
Yeah.
Making donuts or something.
Up at 5, no clock. That's impressive to me.
Amen.
If you can consistently do 5 a.m. with no alarm clock, that's good. Rita in Starkville says she goes 4:30 with no alarm clock.
That's some good condition in there.
Debbie says when she was working, she got up at 5. Her husband was the alarm clock.
I got 2 bird dogs. They're good at it.
Yeah. Charleston to Clarksdale at 6 a.m.
That's a nice little drive there. I bet that's beautiful.
5:45 on an alarm, but most mornings wake up prior.
Yeah, I'm not that disciplined, I can. Sometimes I'll just pop up, but, I definitely need the alarm clock.
Wife and I get up at 4:30 every morning. Yes, we set alarms.
What's the breakfast of choice around here? Everybody gets up awfully early. We got a ton of folks getting up early.
Yeah, no doubt.
Breakfast of choice out there. Is it a biscuit on the road? Do you cook at the house? What's going on here? My mom used to throw like Vienna weenies in a cast iron skillet or bacon, and then she'd just walk off, come back, and we'd have breakfast waiting for us in the mornings, and always had some bacon or some kind of link sausage or something to go.
Yeah. Yeah, moms are good for that.
Yeah, they're the best.
Iuka, 89, maybe 90 degrees for your high temperature today. Going to be about 73 overnight. Chance of showers and thunderstorms around 40% today, especially this afternoon. Mostly sunny to partly cloudy and humid today. Greenwood, 93 today for you, Greenwood. 74 overnight for the low, mostly sunny. Low chance of showers and thunderstorms today. Going to be warm and humid. In the Delta, Prentice, Mississippi, 91 for your high. 73 the overnight low, mostly sunny, partly cloudy. Slight chance of isolated thunderstorms. And Picayune, going to be 88 today. Might get up to 90. 73 for the overnight low, partly cloudy with a slight chance of showers or thunderstorms this afternoon. Going to be humid. They get a little bit of a breeze off the coast. Typically, we have early June weather, or we have typical early June weather. Warm to hot and humid. Scattered storm chances, more so in North Mississippi than in the southern part of the state. And we have made it to the time of year where we start talking about the heat index and not just the temperature. Those heat indices smoking right now with a heavy dose of humidity. It's crazy how much more, I guess how hot you can get, how quickly you can get there with the humidity, and how sweaty you can get in a hurry.
Man, it's already that way. It's so clammy right now outside. You can tell It's probably going to rain, but, man, the humidity is thick.
Johnny Depp was born on this day in 1963. The actor, producer, and musician. So many different roles. Edward Scissorhands. Pirates of the Caribbean. Or Caribbean, if you prefer, as Captain Jack Sparrow.
Pirates of the Gulf of America.
If you prefer. Got that as well. Donnie Brasco, Sweeney Todd, known for his versatile performances and eclectic career. Pretty talented dude.
Yeah, the new commercial, Sauvage. It's like some kind of cologne.
Oh.
Yeah, what is he? Is he like an alien or something? He is so weird, but I love his work as far as in the movies, but as a human being, if you ever listen to him talk, you're like, what language is this? What accent are you using? I thought you were American. He is something else, man. The guy is crazy.
Yeah. Natalie Portman was born on this day in 1981. Did you know that she is a Harvard graduate with a degree in psychology? Actress, producer, director, Academy Award winner for Black Swan. Starred in the Star Wars prequels, as well as V for Vendetta and Jackie. Talented actress. Michael J. Fox, born in 1961. 1991 is when Michael J. Fox was diagnosed with Parkinson's. 35 years ago. And yet he has continued to live and advocate and raise money for Parkinson's research, the Canadian-American actor, producer, and author. There was the Back to the Future trilogy as Marty McFly, Spin City, and, of course, Family Ties.
We got Secret to My Success, too, right?
Yeah, I don't guess I remember that.
Oh, man, that was the one where he's like slips into the high rise, as a mail boy and works his way up.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a good movie. 87, if I remember.
Yeah. Mae Whitman was born in 1988. The actress from Arrested Development, Parenthood, The Duff, and did voice work in Avatar. And now we rewind a couple of centuries. Peter the Great, the Tsar of Russia, who modernized the country, founded St. Petersburg and expanded the Russian Empire through both military and administrative reforms.
Yeah, he also had to rule with his half-brother for about half of his career. Then he got it all by himself and then became emperor. He's one of the normal-looking guys. He had like a normal mustache, normal hair, normal clothes.
If we still call you the Great 300 years after you've died,
that's big dog there.
Probably had a pretty good run.
Oh, yeah.
Just getting started with you. Mornings with Richard Cross, Super Talk, Mississippi. We're back after this.
One early morning, one will late at night.
Good morning from the Venable
Mississippi to the halls of Washington, D.C. This is Mornings with Richard Cross, your source for hard-hitting political insight and unfiltered truth. Now, here's more on Super Talk, Mississippi.
My mom, daddy left me reckless. My daddy left me wild, wild, wild. Mother, daddy left me reckless. Daddy left me wild, wild, wild.
C-Spire text line, which clearly, even at this early hour, many of you know the number already, 601-879-4395. That's the best way for you to connect with us, and we appreciate you doing that. It almost feels self-indulgent sometimes. Well, it's just a very generic question about what time you get up, and then you're like, man, there are a lot of people that aren't only up, they are engaged and listening. I don't read all of your messages, forgive me, but see them all. 4:30 a.m., no alarm clock. A hungry cat makes sure of that. 3:30 a.m., no alarm, just my watch. That's from James in Oxford. JP in Wade, Mississippi, said alarm is set for 5:30, but I'm up at 5:15. The bathroom calls before the clock does.
Yeah, I got a cat that'll let you know about it, too.
Alan says good morning, says he's leaving at noon today with the Ole Miss bus and the equipment headed to Omaha.
Uh-oh.
Safe travels, yes, Alan. Sir. Man, you want to talk about the way team travel has changed through the years. So the Ole Miss baseball team will fly from probably Tupelo to Omaha. And when they arrive, they will have their bus, not a bus, but their bus waiting for them with the custom Ole Miss wrap on it. And their driver, it's not you just go to another town and, you get the local bus company and its drivers. The men and women at Klein have built an incredible operation. That's one of those Mississippi companies that if you don't know, you don't really know. You don't really recognize how many Klein buses are on the road across Mississippi and all over the South, but good stuff. Good stuff from them. Man. Safe travels, Alan.
Yeah, road trips were so much fun back in the college days with all the boys.
Yeah. Hey, we got a first-time texter. First-time texting. I'm up at 4:20 with a lot of help. Coffee and my husband is the alarm clock.
There you go. Keep texting, too.
Yeah, love hearing from you.
Thank you for Miss Deanne. Appreciate that.
Mose says sausage or bacon and eggs every morning, makes waffles when his wife and granddaughter want them.
Yeah. Those Eggos with the little chocolate chips in it, I've gotten to where I like those a lot.
Yeah.
My niece turned me on to those.
Grenada to Greenville, 5:30 with 5 alarms.
Yeah, I have 5 alarms. I mean, that's what I said. 3 on the phone and 2 on the old alarm clock.
I do not set 5. I'm down to 2.
You're doing good.
Down to 2.
And don't forget about Teen Wolf either, yeah. Teen Wolf was excellent.
That's right. That's right. George Stephenson, the English engineer known as the father of the railways, was born this day in 1781. He built the first ever public intercity railway line using steam locomotives. Cole Porter, composer and lyricist of classical musicals and songs like Night and Day, Anything Goes, and I've Got You Under My Skin. Okay. Better when Sinatra sang it.
Okay, yeah.
Robert McNamara, American businessman, government official, Secretary of Defense during the Vietnam War, and later became the World Bank president. Aaron Sorkin, 65 years old. How would you like to have these on your credit list as a screenwriter, playwright, and director? The West Wing, The Social Network, A Few Good Men, The Newsroom, to name a few.
Yeah, A Few Good Men. You could have just gone with that one.
Just gone with that and shut it down?
You can't handle the truth. That was, I mean, I watched that about a month ago just to polish up on my JAG stuff for our legal show when I know my...
That's where you get all your... You didn't go to law school, you just watched A Few Good Men?
Yeah, I just watched that, yeah.
He really does think better with his bat.
Exactly. I always have a baseball in my bag. So.
There you go. Let's see. This day, somebody told us that this day in history was their favorite part, so let me not skip on that. In 68 A.D., Roman Emperor Nero committed suicide at the age of 30, ending the Julio-Claudian dynasty and triggering the Year of the Four Emperors.
Ooh, sounds confusing.
James Oglethorpe in 1732 granted a royal charter for the colony of Georgia in America. I feel like Georgia catches the short end of the stick for being home to Atlanta. I know that Atlanta's great. The state of Georgia has got some really cool and diverse topography and activities, and like bird hunting in South Georgia, huge deal. You've got like southeast Georgia where you're kind of over Sea Island, Jekyll Island, that area off the coast. It's just gorgeous. And then, Lance, you got full-on mountains in North Georgia.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
And that was the thing. And when they originally sliced it up in 1732, it was only the Altamaha River in north, or Altamaha. And then in 1763, they got the bottom part. But all of the west portion of Georgia, 1732, you had Oxford. That was in Georgia. And then 1802, Jackson was in there. And then the Spanish portion down there were Natchez and all that. But Georgia went all the way to the Mississippi River. And then they, started dividing it up later between Alabama and Mississippi. So, but Georgia, big piece of land back then.
Yeah. The final act of Congress of Vienna signed in 1815, reorganizing Europe in the after the Napoleonic Wars. You had the Battle of Brandy Station in Virginia on this day in 1863, the largest cavalry battle of the American Civil War. Significant day for Disney on this day in 1934. Donald Duck makes his debut in the animated short film The Wise Little Hen. Donald Duck.
The guy. That was my favorite of all of them. My uncle could do a mean Donald Duck. I always loved that when I was a kid.
1954, during the Army McCarthy hearings, attorney Joseph Welch famously asked Senator Joseph McCarthy, "Have you no sense of decency?" And Secretariat.
Joe was like, no.
Actually, 1973, Secretariat won the Belmont Stakes, completing the Triple Crown in dramatic fashion. And on this day in 1983, Margaret Thatcher wins re-election as British Prime Minister in a landslide.
On the heels of the huge Falklands War victory. That was where, the momentum came from.
Yeah.
And with Triple Crown winning, fashion, when you talk about dramatic fashion, Secretariat won with 32 lengths. 32. Put that, that's...
And wait, at the Belmont?
When he won the Triple Crown, he won by 32 lengths.
But that was at the Derby, right? Or was that
when he won the Triple
Belmont?
Crown? Yeah, he just dusted everybody, apparently.
Well, but the Triple Crown is 3 races, though.
Yeah, but the third one. He won the first 2, and then the third one, he just dusted them.
There you go.
They're like, well, all right, we quit. He's the best.
We give up.
Yeah.
Developing story. 2 brothers are behind bars after a Mississippi sheriff's deputy was shot yesterday afternoon. You probably got multiple blue alerts on your phone yesterday. Hey, forgive the aside. When you get a blue alert or an amber alert on your phone in an airport, it puts your head on a swivel. I was in the Memphis airport, Lance, not too long ago, and so everybody was kind of getting the same alerts. And when that, the sound that your phone makes when that alert comes through, it's hard to even describe or mimic that sound that it makes. And like 200 of those go off at the same time. Whew. Anyway, law enforcement said the incident happened at approximately 3:30 yesterday afternoon when the Covington County Sheriff's Department attempted to pull over a blue SUV in Mount Olive. The vehicle fled, leading deputies on a brief chase that ended at Greer's Cash Saver on Main Street. When the SUV was stopped, authorities say the driver got out with his hands up while a passenger in the vehicle began shooting at deputies. One deputy, whose name at this point has not yet been released, was struck and transported to a local hospital. He underwent surgery for what the sheriff's office described as life-threatening injuries. He is believed to now be in stable condition. Department of Public Safety issued a blue alert shortly after 5, identifying one of the suspects as 18-year-old Cortavius LaWayne Hobbs. DPS also asked the public to be on the lookout for 19-year-old Zacharian Quintavious McGee, who later turned himself in and was cleared as a suspect. More on this story when we come back. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi, presented by Community Bank.
From the heart of Mississippi to the halls of Washington, D.C., this is Mornings with Richard Cross, your source for hard-hitting political insight and unfiltered truth. Now, here's more on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Well, I ain't superstitious, but a black cat is crossing my trail.
Mornings with Richard Cross. Thank you for being with us and making us part of your morning routine. We were talking about this story, the blue alerts that you probably were getting on your phone yesterday afternoon. In an ugly story, there is somewhat good news. So DPS issued the first blue alert shortly after 5 o'clock yesterday, identifying one of the suspects. We told you those names, Cortavius LaWayne Hobbs, an 18-year-old. They also asked the public to be on the lookout for 19-year-old Zacharian Quintavious McGee. He turned himself in later and was cleared as being a suspect. At 9:20 last night, another blue alert was issued for 19-year-old Cortavian LaWayne Hobbs, the brother of Cortavious. And at 1:20 this morning, late last night, both had been located and taken into custody without further incident, according to Sean Tyndall, the commissioner of DPS. He was up late last night. Multiple sources have told SuperTalk Mississippi News that the brothers are related to Cordarius Hobbs, the 17-year-old arrested and charged in connection with killing an elderly couple and shooting a Simpson County Sheriff's deputy on June 3rd. Charges have not been announced yet. Bad week for that related group. Saw Andy Gibson made a post last night on X saying that the officer that was shot needed prayers. It was somebody that he went to church with, good family, and he was fighting for, I guess, his life. Life-threatening injuries, and again, from the story, appears to have stabilized at this point, so outstanding news there. Former Ole Miss and Jackson State football player Dede Bowie was killed in a weekend shooting in Rankin County. According to the Rankin County Sheriff's Department, deputies responded just after 6 p.m. on Friday to a report of a disturbance that escalated into gunfire in the 100 block of Adams Road in the northern part of Rankin County. Upon arrival, deputies found a 27-year-old man, later identified as Bowie, suffering from multiple gunshot wounds. He was transported to a local hospital, succumbed to his injuries. Investigators processed the crime scene, collected evidence, conducted witness interviews. One firearm was recovered. Witnesses told investigators that multiple occupants had fled the scene in a small gray passenger car. Within hours of the shooting, investigators arrested Ladarius Harrison, Dominic Sanabria, charging both with murder. Samiko Crump and Kaylee Trimble were arrested shortly after and charged with accessory after the fact, as was Jerome Mitchell. Bowie, you may remember from 2016 out of Morton High School, was one of the top players, one of the top football prospects in the state of Mississippi. Played in 9 games as a defensive back as a freshman at Ole Miss, and then a wide receiver at Jackson State, where in 2019 he had 35 catches for 512 yards and 5 touchdowns. State Representative Bo Brown has passed away at the age of 81. The Jackson-based Democratic lawmaker passed away after suffering a long illness, according to his family. He spent time as a teacher, a coach, a Jackson City councilman, and served in the legislature. After working in the JPS district, he served on city council in Jackson from 1997 until 2005. Elected to the Mississippi House of Representatives in 2019. He was on the Judiciary B, Medicaid, and Transportation committees this past session. And a child passed away, and 5 people were injured during a 2-vehicle crash in Madison County over the weekend. Highway Patrol confirmed that the incident occurred on Saturday along Mississippi 22. Officials say a Ford sedan traveling eastbound collided with a Chevrolet Impala. The driver of the Ford, identified as 31-year-old Mondoa Hervey. The operator of the Impala was a 29-year-old Brittany Mack. There were 4 children in Mack's vehicle. According to investigators, Mack and 2 of the children were transported by ambulance to UMMC, while another child was airlifted for medical care. Hervey was also hospitalized. The child pronounced deceased at the scene. That crash remains under investigation. Ugh. Can we get some good news this morning?
Man, it's been rough lately. Woo.
It's hot outside, but put the guns away.
Yeah, the gun is not the solution.
No, sir. Time for your morning sports update, brought to you by Pearl River Resort. Online at pearlriverresort.com. Pearl River Resort, your home for family fun, casino thrills, and live entertainment. Visit them online at pearlriverresort.com. We had the resumption of a pair of games yesterday, and as a result of those finals, we now have the College World Series field set. College World Series in Omaha, Nebraska at Charles Schwab Field begins on Friday at 1 o'clock Central Time. Game number 1 is between Troy and West Virginia. Game number 2, the nightcap on Friday, Ole Miss and North Carolina. Rebels go into that game with an overall record of 41-21. North Carolina, who is the number 5 overall seed in the field this year, 50 wins, 12 losses, and 1 tie. That's the left side of the bracket. The right side of the bracket is all SEC. At 2 o'clock on Saturday afternoon, you have Oklahoma, who is 38-22, and they have played really well during their postseason run, taking on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Alabama was the number 7 seed. And then 2 top 8 seeds on the other side of the bracket. The Texas Longhorns, the number 6, and the Georgia Bulldogs, the number 3. Winners of the, the way the bracket sets up on Sunday, you will have the losers of the first game meeting, or the losers of the first 2 games meeting, and the winners of the first 2 games meeting, and then same thing on Monday with the opposite side of the bracket.
What do you think about it, man? I mean, I know they're all new teams in it from this year versus last year, but it could be a replay of the 2022 World Series. You got Oklahoma in on one side and Ole Miss on the other. I'm going to make a bet.
What kind of bet do you want to make?
$10 that Ole Miss and Oklahoma are in the finals. Yay or nay?
No.
I'm taking it.
All right. Why don't we just double or nothing our stake bet?
No, I'm not double or nothing the stake bet.
Okay. He's holding on to that stake that is now a year and a half old,
it's
and
aging.
He's still waiting.
It's very well aged.
Yeah, dry aged. Dry aged.
Good stuff, man.
I don't think Oklahoma makes it through that side of the bracket.
I don't either, but I'm going to bet on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Going contrarian.
He's going from a ribeye to a sirloin. NBA Finals rolled on last night. What a game at Madison Square Garden. Tickets for that were bonkers. The average get-in-the-door ticket price across all of the tickets sold, most expensive in NBA history, $7,500, with people paying as much as, well, there was a pair of tickets that went for $1 million. Now, that was a charity deal, so that's kind of an outlier. But courtside seats going in the neighborhood of $100,000 a piece. You had to bad want to see a basketball game. And if you were a Knicks fan and you paid $100,000 for a courtside seat, you have to wonder about the return on your investment. I hope the experience was good. San Antonio got it done, 115-111. New York, the Knicks now lead the series 2-1. Across the college football landscape, there was shock and disgust yesterday by many. A judge's decision to rule that Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby is eligible roiled college sports yesterday. Reaction ranging from doomsday predictions to informal chatter about Big 12 schools attempting to not play Texas Tech in football this year. The reaction around college sports was nearly unanimous, with the idea of Sorsby playing in 2026 after admitting to thousands of bets on sports, including 40 bets placed on his own team, representing the latest crossroads in an industry that has faced dizzying changes in recent years. Jim Phillips is the commissioner of the ACC. He told ESPN that the ruling represents a horrendous pattern that is eroding the integrity of our process. A Big 12 athletic director told ESPN that they are disgusted and added, quote, "We officially lost our soul." TCU head coach Sonny Dykes said, "How is anyone ever going to trust the outcome of a game again?" Florida athletic director, former Mississippi State athletics director Scott Strickland told ESPN that he was stunned and recalled baseball's 1919 Black Sox scandal when 8 players from the White Sox took bribes to lose the World Series to the Cincinnati Reds. Didn't just bet on sports, bet on games where he was part of the team. And a judge with a temporary injunction has ruled him eligible for the upcoming season. That's your morning sports update brought to you by Pearl River Resort.
Good morning from the...
It's time to get real.
Keeping it real
It's time for you to get real with it.
and keeping it Mississippi. Your voice for statewide and national politics. Yes! Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
That music means it's time for your Mississippi Lottery update, brought to you by the Mississippi Lottery, online at mslottery.com. Be sure to check out the website or download the Mississippi Lottery app for all that is happening with the Mississippi Lottery. We've got a big one tonight. Mega Millions, $392 million. It is a mind-boggling amount of money, even when you reduce it down to the estimated cash value of $173,300,000. Even when you take the taxes out, you still walk away with about $100 million. Lance, I did a little figuring during the break. This is fun from time to time.
I like figuring.
I am going to help you as the jackpot winner tonight. I'm going to help you not blow your money. You ready?
Yeah.
Here we go. After taxes out, it's about $103 million. I am allotting $15 million for you to blow as you see fit. Mm-hmm. Hopefully some charitable donations. Lance with his 6-wheel dually.
Yeah. I'm going up to 6 now, right?
Vacation house, buy a farm, whatever you want to do with it. $15 million. You can go out in the backyard and set it on fire if you would like. After that, we're going to make an initial investment of the remaining $88 million. All right?
You're rolling it all on the SpaceX IPO, huh?
We're going to take that $88 million and we're going to put it in a nice index fund, or a few of them. And now we're going to pay ourselves a salary, okay? We're going to pay ourselves a salary of $250,000 a month. Not a year, a month. So you got $3 million walking around money after you've already given yourself $15 million and you put $88 million in the bank. And that index fund, we're going to allow it to have a nice conservative rate of return at 8% over time. Are we comfortable with 8%?
Sure. Yeah.
All right. And we're going to invest that for 30 years. And do you know what our nest egg is going to be after 30 years? While paying ourselves a $250,000 a month salary?
Hit me, man. I need
$545 million.
Wow. You could afford a trip to Mars.
You could build the rocket to take the trip to Mars with that. It's fun to dream every now and then.
Isn't it? I mean,
yeah.
It would be nice. Exactly, Amanda.
Yes, Amanda.
That would be nice.
That would be nice.
If you give me a $15 million, just go do what you want with it.
Yeah.
A lot of fun. As I've said, we're going to have a street party for all of our SuperTalk 6 a.m. listeners.
If you wanted to pay yourself a $500,000 a month salary and have $6 million for walking around money, just for incidentals and whatnot, you could still have $250 million in the bank.
Well, I would buy
after 30 years.
I'd buy that $15 million boat I sent you the picture of yesterday. The guy down in Breaux Bridge that built the mansion.
Would you?
Oh man, that thing's $15 million. I'm like, that's mine.
Yeah,
that'd be my first purchase.
Thomas said PERS would love an 8% annual return. Mm. Well,
just don't build a Blue Origin rocket. Thanks, CC.
Yeah, that'd be quite the fireworks show. Yeah. Thomas says maybe you could give Daniel Sparks some investment tips. Ooh. I don't think Daniel's in charge of the investment. I think that falls on the treasurer's office. The problem, Thomas, and you know this, we're just talking now, is that the rules that go along with investing when you're talking about public retirement money, a little more conservative than what you and I might do with $88 million if we just had it sitting on the side.
Yeah, you're not going, put it all on black.
No. And I'm not suggesting putting it on black as well. I was just using that 8% return as
but in your point, though, with government monies, you're very restricted in what you can put it in.
A lot of municipal bonds.
Mm-hmm. I love a good muni, though. I mean, I did a lot of municipal business. Tax-free income, man, ain't nothing hard to beat. And you look at the default rate, even before COVID, it was like 99 or 98.5% that municipal bonds would pay off. In other words, mature. Pretty good rate, pretty good probability there.
For your 2% return on investment?
Well, 5% roughly tax-free.
You get 5?
I don't know what it is today, but yeah, I was easily able to get 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that still would allow that nest egg to grow quite well in a pretty conservative format. So, 7 o'clock hour is on the way. The 7 o'clock hour is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Running a business is tough, and if you're struggling with HR, benefits, and payroll, you're not alone. That's where MWG Employer Services comes in. They can provide a full range of employer services plus a custom plan that fits you. Give them a call today, 601-206-7966, or go to MWGEmployerServices.com. Coming up at 7:20 this morning, Curtis Houck will join us. He is the managing editor at NewsBusters. Very active on the social media platforms. We'll talk with him about some of the national headlines and bias in the media. Scott Pelley said CBS News never had bias of any sort, not that he was aware of. Look forward to that conversation with Curtis Houck. Katie Coates from Visit Mississippi will join us in the 8 o'clock hour this morning. America 250, what does it look like here in the Magnolia State? Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank. Bank local, bank community.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, and callers on this show are not the opinions of TeleSouth Communications, its management, or advertisers.
From breaking news to bold opinions, Richard dives into the stories shaping Mississippi and the nation. Now back to Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi.
Yonder, baby. Way back over yonder across the hill.
Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk Mississippi, 7 o'clock hour. Thanks for joining us on the 9th of June, 2026, alongside Lance Tolbert. I'm Richard Cross. It's a pleasure to be with you. This hour of the show is brought to you by MWG Employer Services. Mornings is presented by Community Bank. Ever notice how some places still know your name? Becomes more and more rare. At Community Bank, though, that's how banking works. They know your name. We're a bank that knows community because we live here, and when you walk in, you're not just an account number. No matter what your banking needs are, you will talk to real people who care about your goals. Community Bank, a local bank built on relationships. Stop by your neighborhood location or learn more at communitybank.net. That is communitybank.net. Lance, you have piqued my interest. A Saharan dust storm is on its way to Mississippi?
Yeah, man, they need to get out those big sprinklers from the Delta, put them out in the Sahara.
That is no bueno.
No, it's about annual now. We've been getting that the last few years, and it's noticeable as you look up in the sky as those Sahara dust storms get here, kind of a little yellow tint to everything late in the day.
But it's not going to be like blackout dust conditions.
No, but you can definitely tell. And so if you have any breathing issues or anything over the next few days or the next week, be careful because we will we have a lot of dust in the air from the Sahara.
All right. So make sure you've got your medicine.
If you put your masks back on, right?
I think I'll just cough.
Exactly.
JT Mitchell talked to us about this yesterday, and it was just kind of teasing a story that was coming out. A new Kids Count report is out. You know well about the massive climb for Mississippi school-age children in education results. Mississippi has been 16th nationally for the last year in K-12 education in the annual Kids Count data book, though the report found that the state continues to face significant challenges when it comes to children's health. So the Annie E. Casey Foundation has this annual 50-state report that includes comprehensive scores ranging from 0 to 1,000, and that is for this new metric that they are using, this total child score. The scores track 16 indicators across 4 domains. Those 4 domains are economic well-being, education, health, and family and community factors. According to the foundation, the new system with both scores and rankings intends to give a more complete picture of childhood well-being. The total score on that 0 to 1,000 scale for Mississippi was 271, making Mississippi 50th in the nation, and 276 points below the national average of 547. Again, that's on a scale of 0 to 1,000. The strongest domain for Mississippi was education, where it scored 448, which is 16th best nationally. And so that, again, is the good news. The education gains are real. The weakest showing, though, came in health-related results, where it scored 122, last among all states in the United States. Health indicators measured by the report included low birth weight babies, children without health insurance, child and teen deaths, and child and teen obesity. In terms of economic well-being, Mississippi was 49th out of 50. And let's see here. Family and community factors, Mississippi was 49th out of 50 as well. So in 3 of the 4 categories, Mississippi was either last or next to last among the 50 states. I don't think that this is entirely surprising, maybe not even a little bit surprising. And as I said yesterday to JT, and as I maintain, I think it makes the educational gains, the scores for children in Mississippi in education, all the more impressive. And what I mean by that is when you have these contributing negative factors, and again, this is from the Annie E. Casey Foundation. It's the Kids Count Data Book, the 2026 edition of that. When they're trying to... Somebody yesterday said, well, you know, it's interesting. They come out with a new metric right after you see Mississippi climb way up. I don't think you should look at that as a slight. And who knows? Maybe there was somebody who's like, oh, we can't have Mississippi in this spot, and let's come up with another metric that's going to put them down where they belong. I can't imagine that that was the thinking internally at the foundation. But when you have health-related issues, income-related issues, family unit-related issues, and yet you still see results on the education front, boy, it feels like we sure should be tipping our caps to the educators in the state of Mississippi. Because when a teacher rolls into a classroom, be it at Ocean Springs Elementary School or Oxford Elementary School or Prentice Elementary or Greenwood Elementary or anywhere in between, the goal that the teacher is coming in with is to educate the children that are in his or her classroom. Reading, writing, arithmetic, logic, understanding material, being able to retain the material. But if that teacher is dealing with children who may not have enough to eat when they go home at night, maybe coming home to a household where there is violence, there is just a mess because of lack of either ability or time or resources to make sure that the home is clean and safe. If they're dealing with parents that don't care and that's visible kind of in their appearance because of obesity, whether it's by choice or not, that teacher that we're talking about has a lot to overcome because that student is not coming in always well-rested, well-fed, from a loving environment where they're being read a bedtime story and somebody's making sure that they've done their homework. And so to educators that are fighting the good fight on a daily basis, who are continuing to make their focus the educational outcome of the kids in their classroom, thanks for what you're doing, because you're doing an incredible job. C-Spire text line. Wanted to tell you yesterday that the Annie E. Casey Foundation is leftist and quick to turn to civil governments to improve every problem. About 15 years ago, I learned that the Kids Count ratings are vehicles for the foundation to promote its statist agenda. That's from George in Greenwood. Thank you, George. Be that as it may, though, it is a metric that is used nationally. And look, if we want to be so quick to trumpet and yell from the rooftops, hey, we've made great gains in education, then we can't turn around and be like, oh, well, that's a no-good organization that all they're doing is trying to drive their agenda. I'm not suggesting that the Kids Count annual book is the be-all, end-all in terms of measuring whether or not your schools are effective. But it is a metric, it is a tool that is out there that kind of shows where you are in comparison to other states in the United States. How many times have we talked to Dr. Dan, the medicine man, at Mississippi Department of Health, and he's pointed to childhood obesity rates and morbidity rates in pregnancies and teen pregnancies and all of the other contributing factors that make it really, really hard for kids to grow up and start with like a stable, successful beginning to their life. They're working at the state health department to try to improve those outcomes. And if we're able to make some incremental improvements there, then probably those rankings go up over the course of the next 5 to 10 years. Hopefully that's the case. Curtis Houck joins us next. We're back with you after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Good morning from
Mornings with Richard Cross.
On with the show.
Is back. Holy smokes. On SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Back with you, Mornings with Richard Cross, presented by Community Bank, Bank Local, Bank Community. Thanks for joining us on this Tuesday morning, the 9th of June. First guest this morning is Curtis Houck. He is the managing editor at NewsBusters. That is part of the Media Research Center. They are a media watchdog, especially a media watchdog if you find yourself perhaps a little bit to the right of center. Curtis is a great follow on X. If you're not following him, I would encourage you to do that. It's at Curtis Houck. Curtis, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Richard. Good to be with you.
You as well. Appreciate some of your time this morning. You are not short on content right now, and certainly haven't been for the last couple of years with this administration in place. There's so many directions that we could go. Let's start with Scott Pelley and 60 Minutes. He did a sit-down with the New York Times over the weekend. There are a lot of ways that people have described that interview. Pompous, out of touch, unconnected to reality. What was your takeaway from Scott Pelley as he sat down and so very serious with those glasses that he likes to chew on close by to make those points even more compelling?
Yeah, exactly, Richard. I said pomposity overload was the word that I used. Yeah, exactly. Just like that, folks. We're not even kidding. If you haven't seen the clips, you got to look them up. I mean, this is what this guy does. It's all about the theatrics for him. And he is such a perfect foil for the arrogance of the elite media. I would say even more than politicians, there is no profession that loves itself more and is more averse to outside criticism than the national news media. I mean, it is truly remarkable for Scott Pelley to describe the upheaval within 60 Minutes in CBS News. Yes, there were firings, but I would say, guys, it's not MAGA TV. It's not Fox News. It's not Newsmax. Yes, they've been all over the hospice fraud in California. They've covered the Minnesota fraud way more than the other two networks, but they're still doing things like profiling Laverne Cox, the transgender person with the memoir. I mean, they're still putting out negative stories about the president. So, Scott Pelley's not living in reality. For him to say that there's no metric or data point to why people don't trust the news media, I mean, look no further than Gallup. They said in November or October, 28% of Americans trust the news media. Last I checked, that's quite low. And he also said what's happened is like murder. He said it's like your spouse was murdered. When someone murders a large number of your family members, A, that's incredibly offensive, and B, little does he know that his former colleagues are still available by phone or text.
Yeah, would not be the case had the murders actually happened. I think one of the things that really rubbed people the wrong way about Scott Pelley, this interview in particular, other quotes that he's had in the aftermath of being fired from 60 Minutes and CBS News, was kind of the stolen valor piece. I am not in any way making light of the work that war correspondents do. In television news, that's probably the most difficult and the most dangerous assignment that exists out there. But to claim that I have been in combat because you are a war correspondent doesn't feel like that's quite the same thing that, I don't know, Navy SEALs, special operators, or the rank and file troops that exist for the United States around the world. Not quite the same thing that they're doing.
No, Richard, for him to say there is no democracy without journalism, like this country wouldn't exist if people like him couldn't do what they do. I mean, it's offensive. It's so ludicrous. And for him, in the way he phrased it in that New York Times interview, and I've read different things recently, and I've covered him for over a decade now, when he uses the word to combat for, I was in combat for, well, that denotes you are doing something for the people to protect them, putting your life in harm's way for them. And obviously, he's simply reporting on, what's going on in the war. And I think you make the right distinction. Yes, he was in dangerous places. War correspondents going to Iraq, Afghanistan, they're under constant stress. They're working around the clock as well. But whether, a base falls or a military operation succeeds or not, that is more having to do with our brave servicemen and women and nothing to do with anything Scott Pelley does or doesn't do. So, I mean, it's so incredibly ludicrous to think that he's the good guy in the scenario. It's the main character syndrome. I said to the Daily Wire last week when I wrote a column for them that these people are always the heroes of their own story. And whenever something goes wrong, Richard, it's someone else's fault. We all know people in our lives who always deflect.
And we don't have to look very far into the past to see a stolen valor situation for a news anchor. I mean, it's Brian Williams. It's the reason that his career largely was derailed at NBC News, and now Scott Pelley, I guess he can't be fired for this. He's been fired for something else. You mentioned something a second ago that does make me think just a little bit, though, and that's the role that journalism plays within democracy. Yes, the way that Scott Pelley phrased it kind of makes our skin crawl a little bit. But we are in this era of time where most of the media that we consume has a slant one way or the other. Most of it is slanted to the left, but we do have news agencies and news organizations that are a little more slanted to the right. Is there a role, is there any way we can ever get back to the point where we can get just the news without a slant?
I mean, I think it takes two to tango. And I think that, to be honest with you, Richard, that is where sometimes I think people get a little too over their skis or people aren't willing to admit maybe fault. I mean, yes, you have to have news organizations that want to do things fairly, that want to do things from both perspectives. I'll give you an example. News Nation, my friends over there do an incredible job. They're really trying to build something from the ground up. They've got people that have worked at Fox, CNN, everywhere else, you name it, local news as well. but you also have to have consumers who want that news as well. You have to want to seek it out yourself. And it sounds trite, but this kind of goes back to like the bookmarks tab on your web browser. You have to have a variety of sources. Consult things like allsides.com that we use. Ground News is another app that kind of has news from different perspectives. Our friends at All Sides, they're very good at putting on metrics. They put us firmly on the right, but we use them because we think they give it straight down the middle. And it's not like they don't have anyone in the center. They have at least, I think, a half dozen different outlets that they would probably put in the center. So I'd encourage folks to check that out too. And it's a wide variety of news sources. You have to go to a number of different places. And even we do that. And we ask ourselves that at NewsBusters every day.
Curtis Houck is the managing editor at NewsBusters. You can follow him on X at Curtis Houck, Houck. What's the challenge for you in the way that you cover this president, Donald Trump?
Well, I mean, there's so much going on, and I mean, it's always focusing on the big controversies. And I know, yes, sometimes Trump flies a little too close to the light there and attracts attention. At the same time, though, there's things that this administration is doing each and every day. And I think the media, the national media, the TV media, too much leans into the theatrics. You know, I mean, some of the things like the Trump accounts that the president is doing, that's the kind of thing that if any other president were doing, if Barack Obama did it, they would be all over this kind of thing. They'd be talking about it ad nauseum.
There'd be another Nobel Peace Prize for Barack Obama if he had rolled out the Trump accounts. Or a Nobel Peace Prize
for Barack Obama. I mean, they'd be doing all kinds of things. They would be, you know, when it came to high gas prices during Russia's war with Ukraine, when it first started, you know, not a lot of the blame was shifted to President Biden or talk about really anything that he could do. They kind of would just throw their hands up and say, well, this is just kind of how it is. And that's the same thing with the votes in LA. That's a huge challenge as well. But with Trump, I think it needs and requires a level of sanity and people to kind of take a deep breath. And I don't think that happens enough because people get too wound up around the axle. And I think some elite media, national journalists, are afraid of their base because if they come across as muted or fair or kind of just dispassionate, you know, people won't watch them anymore.
Curtis Houck is my guest. You mentioned L.A., the local elections. It appears as if they are going to count until there is a result that they want. I'm being a little trite when I say that. Looks like Spencer Pratt is out of the runoff for the L.A. mayor's race. It's going to be Bass and Rahman, and another American city is going to not have I don't even think we can call Spencer Pratt really a Republican, but like not even a middle-of-the-road guy that says, hey, this is what I think is best for one of our great cities.
Yeah, you know, I think it was clear. I forget where it was. It was either a Washington Post or New York Post article that I was reading yesterday that pointed out he made comments during the campaign, which didn't get a lot of play, that said, I don't want ICE in L.A., and when it comes to transgenders and people can do whatever they want. But his message was so simple, and I think, Richard, that is the key going forward, especially if you're running at the local and state level. You need to have a very basic, simplistic message around public safety and, you know, government services. That is just so crucial.
Curtis, you got time to hang with me through the break, or you need to run?
Sure thing.
Let's continue the conversation right after this. Curtis Houck from NewsBusters. He's the managing editor there, part of the Media Research Center. We're back with you right after this. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
From this with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Well, I done got old. I can't.
Great being with you on this Tuesday morning. Curtis Houck is my guest, managing editor at NewsBusters. I appreciate your patience and the generosity with your time this morning. There was something that was on your feed yesterday that I thought was really interesting. So much conversation about CBS News, Scott Pelley, 60 Minutes. And it was a conversation about the way other news outlets are covering the Scott Pelley story. And yes, you got CNN and Fox and Newsmax and News Nation and all of these outlets, but we still have the big three, right? ABC, NBC, CBS. NBC went all in on their coverage of the New York Times interview with Scott Pelley. You pointed out that ABC seems to kind of be sitting this one out. What do you think the rationale is there?
Yeah, I'm very curious about this too, and I reached out to some other folks that cover the media, and nobody's really given me a definitive answer, kind of beating around the bush. I am curious because, with Disney and ABC, I would say of the three broadcast networks, ABC is the clearest, most unabashedly liberal of the three. It's superficial. I would say it engages in some corporate whoring quite frequently. If there's a new ride, a new aspect of a Disney cruise that you've never heard of before, if there's a new animal at Magic Kingdom, it's going to get 5 minutes on that show. Especially in the second hour, there is very little actual news that will change your life at all because it's just so much fluff. So I was interested to see what was going on. But NBC, to your point, as you brought up, yeah, they've covered every twist and turn of the recent firings and hoopla inside CBS News. And it's very similar to what happens anytime there's been scandal or upheaval at Fox News. They've been the media reporting class has been obsessed with those kinds of things. So it's been interesting to see them fully lean into and kind of raise these allegations. Maybe they're trying to lure Scott Pelley. I don't know. But, yeah, it is curious timing from NBC there.
Curtis, how old are you?
I'm 34.
All right, so you're younger than I am by about a decade. I'm 45. I grew up with Peter Jennings on ABC, Tom Brokaw on NBC, Dan Rather on CBS. And I think if we looked in the rearview mirror, we would say, kind of looking back now, that there was slant, that there was left-leaning with all three of them. But even so, those were three of the most trusted voices in American news at the time because people watched the nightly news more often than they do now. I think you would be hard-pressed to find many people that could name all three lead news anchors at ABC, CBS, NBC anymore. It's incredible how it's changed.
Let alone one of them. I mean, I would say that there's so many reasons to that. Some of it, a lot of it, I would say is self-inflicted. You look at Dan Rather, the forgery of the documents regarding the National Guard and then President Bush in the 2004 election. That was a huge scandal there as well. Peter Jennings passing away. That was a huge loss and a huge void that I don't really think anybody was able to fill. And so then you have Brokaw, and that gave way to Brian Williams. And as we mentioned in the last block, Brian Williams had his own issues. And the rise of the internet as well, and the way in which people get their news, and the way in which I think all of us all operate beyond just a 9 to 5 in our work, in our personal lives. I think we're just constantly in a state of churn. And so that causes you to not make that 6:30 newscast appointment viewing. Now, I would say if you follow any of those shows on social media or ABC News, CBS News, NBC News on social media, clips of those news, that's how a lot of those clips are generated from the Today Show, from Nightly News, from Good Morning America. So I would point that out as well. And despite the fall off, if you add all those up, it's still on big news weeks, around 20 million people a week watch these shows. And if we've learned anything in the last 26 years, which is with major elections, is they've all been very close, for the most part, very close. And so just like political operatives say, hit every door, make every phone call, we at the Media Research Center argue every newscast and every viewer matters in terms of giving them the facts and calling balls and strikes and saying this is good journalism or not.
Curtis Houck, managing editor at NewsBusters, part of the Media Research Center. You touched on elections there, and I'm glad you did. We had a political consultant yesterday, and we were kind of talking about midterms, and his prediction is it's really hard for Republicans in the House. It looks like probably in the Senate. And that's just kind of based on things that he's hearing and areas that he is plugged in. Yeah. The point that he made, Democrats might make more strides if they weren't going and pulling in all of these far left candidates. We during the presidential run a couple of years ago, we heard people talking about these 80-20 issues where it's just a slam dunk. Like 80% of America is for this, and you've got this fringe. Why are Democrats either drafting or having people as their candidates that seem to side with so many of these 20 issues as opposed to winning elections with moderate Democrats?
Well, there's two things. I think one, Richard, is the energy, the enthusiasm is on that 20%, or as the president sometimes like to say 90-10, 95-5, whatever you want to peg it at. That's where the energy is, number one. And number two is fear. I think it's fear of turning off that portion of the Democrat base, people that would be so upset that they fear that they would just sit out and they wouldn't vote for them when they should be reliable Democrats. And I think that's what it comes down to. And then a side note to both of those is it's not attractive or sometimes sexy to be like, I'm going to take this moderate position. So I think when it comes to issues like transgenderism, you bring up also the last major primary for Democrats in 2020, you had that hand raise about healthcare for illegal immigrants. You know, that was a huge thing in that election that Republican candidates are still making hay out of because it was just so damaging and it was enthusiastic. So sometimes when people show you who they are and what they believe them. James Talarico's kind of running around trying to like saying I was intentionally provocative when I said there are 6 genders or that God is non-binary. A lot of these issues, Richard, it's a yes or no question. And if the answer is no, why have you changed?
I talked about this last week. We played a clip from the I know you saw it, the Katie Couric interview with Rahm Emanuel. And my position at this point is the candidate who is not a candidate at this point, the Republicans in a presidential election next time around should be most scared of is Rahm Emanuel. Because he understands what wins elections. He was one of the architects of Barack Obama. He understands stay away. It doesn't mean he's not for transgenderism. He pointed out in that interview that, hey, I signed a bill as a mayor, to make it okay. But then he just kind of glossed over that but our focus needs to be on education and health care and, taking care of people. Am I off base on that, or do you look at that and go, this is a guy that could give Republicans real problems?
Well, just because he could give Republicans a problem doesn't mean he would. And I think that's kind of unfortunately for people who kind of might be looking towards the middle are going to run out of luck, because I honestly don't think he'll have a chance. Yes, he'll be there on the debate stage, and yes, he'll make a lot of salient points. He's talked a lot about the breakdown in kind of civic engagement and on our collective civic spirit and connective tissue in our communities. And he says, he has a line that's like, Democrats only care about what goes on in the bedroom, but I also care cares what happens outside your front door and in your classroom and all these other things. And he admits that the Democrats are too focused on those kinds of things and kind of have their heads in the sand. But I just think the energy is going to be with somebody like Kamala Harris or AOC. Bernie Sanders could play kingmaker. I don't think he'll run because he's already in his 80s. But we will see about that. I think he's going to be more, Richard, if you want to give it a Republican comparison. He'll last longer, but I think it'll be more like kind of a Tim Pawlenty, Scott Walker, even Ron DeSantis vibe. Well, he'll be very substantive. He'll do very well in the debates. But when it comes to the energy and raising money, I don't know how well he will do compared to the others. So
you think when it's all said and done, it ends up being Kamala Harris on the Dem ticket again?
Well, it certainly looks like it right now as we sit. Al Sharpton had his big ring-kissing annual event for his National Action Network slush fund a few weeks ago. And the biggest energy from reporters there and just watching tape of it was Kamala Harris for whatever reason. And we know that one of the biggest constituencies of the Democratic Party is black women. If it weren't for black women in South Carolina, Joe Biden would not have won the nomination when Jim Clyburn and co. said, oh boy, we can't get stuck with boot edge, or Bernie Sanders. We need to do something about this. So
Curtis, only
the Joy
30
Reid crowd is there.
Only 30 seconds. Can Republicans have a Rubio-Vance ticket with Rubio at the top, even though Vance is the VP?
We shall see. It definitely depends how things play out vis-a-vis foreign policy in particular in the next year or so.
Curtis, you've been generous with your time this morning. Really appreciate it. Hope we can catch up again soon.
Absolutely, Richard. Really enjoyed it. Talk soon.
Curtis Houck, managing editor with NewsBusters. That is part of the Media Research Center, MRC. We like that here, MRC. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. Back with you right after this.
Good morning.
With Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Good conversation with Curtis Houck. First time we've had him on the show. Hopefully it won't be the last. Richard Cross, Lance Tolbert with you this morning. You may have seen this story. I'm guessing you haven't. Kind of buried a little bit, but an interesting look at some of the internal workings under the Capitol Dome in D.C. President Trump yesterday called on John Thune, the Senate Majority Leader, to immediately fire the Senate parliamentarian, that is Elizabeth McDonough, to clear the way for Senate Republicans to pass the Save America Act, which would require proof of citizenship to register to vote and photo ID to cast a ballot. I want to attempt to try to tie a couple of different ideas together here. I'm not sure that I'm going to be successful in doing so. The Senate parliamentarian should be an apolitical posting. It's not, but it should be. The Senate parliamentarian should be the person who has the best and most complete understanding of parliamentarian rules or parliamentary rules and how things must be put together. And the big issue here is that Trump wants the Save America Act rolled into a spending bill, a money bill. But there are very strict rules as to what can and cannot be rolled into a it's not just a spending bill. It's a budget reconciliation package or bill. And the parliamentarian ruled that the Save America Act did not comply with the Senate's Byrd rule, which determines what legislation is eligible to be included in a budget reconciliation package that can pass with a simple majority vote versus having the 60 vote or filibuster threshold to get done. The problem with the whole, the Senate parliamentarian is supposed to be apolitical, is that this Senate parliamentarian, McDonough, has been in place since she was established by Harry Reid. That was in 2012, during the Obama administration, and kept in place during the Biden administration. And as a result, whether or not it is fair to cast her in this light, you get a left-leaning parliamentarian. Is it possible? Somebody said it just a second ago. Trying to fire the referee because you don't like the strike zone reeks of desperation. I agree. However, if your umpire or your referee consistently calls more fouls on one team than the other team, does it mean that one team fouls more than the other team? Or they're not looking through the exact same lens for both teams in the way they play? Is it a deal where you got Michael Jordan or LeBron James on one side who gets all the calls I don't know, I was trying to pick a random, like, run-of-the-mill NBA player that doesn't get the benefit of the doubt on the whistle. So I said I was going to try and tie two things together here. Is this a reasonable request? Because months ago, when the president brought up the fact that the parliamentarian needs to be fired immediately and a new one put in place, John Thune pushed back on it. He goes, no, we're not going that route. President's got his opinion. That's not the route we're going to go. Is the request from the president reasonable, or is this an unreasonable ask and the Senate parliamentarian is actually just doing her job? We may talk about this in a little more detail coming up later, but I don't think it's a question that is altogether different than this. We have seen Donald Trump in the Meet the Press interview with Kristen Welker on Saturday, where he cut it short, got up and walked away, and he is complaining about fraud in the California elections, particularly in L.A., where Spencer Pratt's not going to make the runoff. And she tried to press him on evidence of that, and he's like, oh, there's tons of evidence. But, Mr. President, show us the evidence. Well, there's tons of evidence. Is wanting the Senate parliamentarian out because you don't get the ruling that you want as it pertains to the Save America Act, which, by the way, is something that we all should agree on in the first place, Democrats and Republicans alike, which is not the case. Is it the same thing as complaining about every time you or your guy or your team loses an election, fraud, fraud, fraud? Is that the same thing as the fan? That every time their team loses a game, points to the umpires, points to the referees. Oh, the referees screwed us in this ball game. Well, so come to a point where it's like, you've just got to be better and take it out of the officials' hands.
Let's go. Waking up the Magnolia State. Mornings with Richard Cross.
That's what it's here for.
Super Talk, Mississippi.
Reading I'm going, baby there, going to Memphis, see there what it's about.
Mornings with Richard Cross is presented by Community Bank. When it comes to money, trust isn't automatic, it's earned. That's why Community Bank does things the old-fashioned way. When you come to visit us, we take time to listen to you and discuss any questions you have. Whether you're saving, spending, or planning ahead, you'll find bankers who know the community because they're part of it. Community Bank, banking designed with you in mind. Visit us in person or online at communitybank.net. Mornings with Richard Cross alongside Lance Tolbert. I'm Richard. Happy to welcome in now Katie Coates, who is director of Visit Mississippi. Katie, good morning.
Good morning. I have to correct that I'm not director of Visit Mississippi. You've got me instead of Rochelle Hicks this morning.
All right. Well, I'm giving you the credit regardless. You and Rochelle can share the title at least for the next few minutes. America 250. We got a big birthday presentation celebration that's happening all across the country. Certainly is happening here in Mississippi as well. What are we doing to celebrate?
Yes, that's actually why I'm here for Rochelle this morning, because she is busy planning for our signature event in Mississippi called United in Song. Visit Mississippi is wearing our America 250 hats this year, and we are planning for a big celebration in Mississippi in Jackson at the Coliseum on Saturday, June 20th. So I'm here to invite all Mississippians to come out and enjoy it.
What is the makeup of this? I remember, good grief, maybe 6 months ago, us talking a little bit about United in Song and what that was going to look like. Give us a refresher.
Yes, it's really taken shape. So, we've got each state kind of has their own commission of how they're celebrating America 250. And in Mississippi, we've got a lot of great events going on all throughout the state. But our one big signature event is made up of hundreds of voices, a big choir who's going to join together to sing patriotic songs and original arrangements by Dove Award-winning composer David T. Clydesdale. So that's really the big bones of it, is a bunch of patriotic numbers and a great program. And then throughout that, there are going to be special video messages and tribute performances. And so it's just really a powerful musical tribute and program, and it is free to the public.
All right, so free to the public, June 20th at the Mississippi Coliseum in Jackson. What about tickets for that? What's the best way to go about that?
It is free, but you do have to get a ticket in advance, and so you can get that online at america250.ms/united. And so you just have to reserve your free ticket, and it's going to be at 6 o'clock p.m., and so you just have to go in ahead of time, and it's easy to do.
We made a reference yesterday to the bicentennial celebration, 1976, when the United States celebrated its 200th birthday, and there was so much national pride and pomp and circumstance. I'm told I was not there for it. I'm curious if you guys did any looking back 50 years. Okay, well, how did it go in 1976? What were the things that went well and the things that maybe you would freshen up a bit 15 years later to get ideas for how to celebrate 250?
We did a little bit of that. I was lucky enough to attend a big convening of all the states and territories in D.C. over the past couple of years. And so the big, kind of agreement there is that everyone just looked back on those celebrations so fondly. They didn't really remember exactly what was going on, but they remember great celebrations, whether they were in school and got a special, commemorative item or program with their class, or they had a special event in their town. And so it was just something that really brought people together, and they look back on fondly. So we wanted to create that. It's really a once in a generation celebration. So we wanted to create that again, not only nationally with the America 250 organization, but also in each state.
This is no secret. This is no breaking news here. We live in a time when everything seems to be politically charged and politically divided. Can America 250, especially here in Mississippi, be apolitical, where we're all just celebrating Mississippi and the birthday for the United States, as opposed to, this is a right-wing thing or it's a left-wing thing?
You said it. That is the hope. We just want to create something that's memorable for all Mississippians and that we can all celebrate and get behind. And, this United in Song event is really going to be special. It celebrates musicians and famous Mississippians and just Mississippians from, all walks of life and all backgrounds. And it's really going to be a moving performance. And so we hope people will come. We think this will be their moment where they can look back and say, what a special event I got to be a part of. I got, this commemorative program that I can hold on to and show my kids. And that's something that, we hope will really bring people together.
What about in D.C.? It's my understanding that as part of the America 250, that all of the states are going to have representation there, that there are going to be booths and exhibits and things that you can see. What's the Mississippi presence in D.C. going to be like?
Yes, so each state was invited to participate in the Great American State Fair, and Mississippi will be there right off the heels of United in Song. We're headed up to D.C. It'll begin June 25th through July 10th, and we'll have a pavilion on the National Mall where we will get to go speak to all of the people visiting D.C. and, of course, all the locals and talk about kind of bring a little bit of Mississippi to D.C. and share our story and talk about Mississippi's contributions to the nations. We'll have a huge video screen playing all sorts of different historical, almost museum quality display of Mississippi. And we can't wait to share more pictures about that. And, of course, we invite Mississippians to come up and visit and see it for themselves.
What are you leaning into when you tell Mississippi's story for a national audience in D.C. as part of the America 250 celebration?
We will have different sections people can learn about, and some are even interactive. So we've got a music section, industry and innovation, sports. We'll have a couple of fun university trophies on display on loan. We've got, a couple more, arts is a big one. So we kind of lean into different pillars that not only we normally talk about from a tourism standpoint, but also, the national organization has set forth, some standard pillars for each state.
Were you in Pasadena back around the first of the year for the Rose Parade?
I was.
How was it this year? I'm trying to remember. Was there rain that you guys had to deal with this year?
Yes, we have been fortunate through Visit Mississippi to participate in some wonderful activations over the past couple of years, one of those being the Rose Parade. We were very surprised to have really heavy rain this year. The first year was the most beautiful California weather you could think of. And so we had our big Kermit the Frog centerpiece this year, and he got a little wet, but he persevered and held up well. But we had the best time, and we're actually going to be going back for a third year this year. So we'll have to come back on and talk more about that when it takes more shape.
Yeah, if anybody can handle a little bit of rainy weather, you would think it would be Kermit the Frog, right? I mean, he's right there in his element with the rain coming down. And I was going to ask that. One of the things that we talked with Rochelle about a while back was kind of the impressions that come from the Rose Parade. The number of people that see it on television, the number of people that are there, the things that you can do with it on social media after the fact. Obviously, you found that to be enough of the case in year one to go and do it a second time, and obviously that continues to grow if it's going to be a third go-around.
That's right. So the ROI was, just the media impact alone from the parade, and then all of the interviews we got to do around it, leading up to the parade from our float warehouse. But something we didn't really expect was, how much at home everyone was excited to be a part of it and share on social media, share with their friends from all over how proud they were to have a float represented. So it just continued to go and have further reach. And experiences like that are what make us excited to go to even more activations like the Great American State Fair, because we know that, there are Mississippi connections everywhere. And we can't wait to just, connect with more people and hopefully invite more people to come and visit our state.
I'm curious, we talk so much about the Mississippi Development Authority and the role that they're playing in bringing business to the state of Mississippi, attracting new residents who are coming in for jobs or, jobs that are staying with Mississippians. What role does Visit Mississippi play in conjunction with MDA and some of the other state agencies or the governor's office in terms of making Mississippi as attractive as it can be to potential new residents?
Tourism is Mississippi's fourth largest industry, and we all of these industries work in tandem. You're not going to want to invest in a place to build your business and unless you want to visit there and your family has things to do there and there's a great downtown area. And so, tourism is economic development, and it helps drive, money into locals' pockets, whether that's local business owners, restaurateurs, hoteliers. And so we all really work together to just create more opportunity for Mississippi and Mississippians. And, it's an honor to be a part of.
And sometimes that tourism turns into permanent residency, which is a great thing as well. Katie, really appreciate your time this morning. Good catching up. And here's to a great celebration for America 250 with United in Song.
Thank you so much.
Katie Coates with Visit Mississippi. This is Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk Mississippi. Glad to be with you. We'll take a time out. We've got more coming up right after this on MRC.
Yeah, you see me laughing, Lord, I'm laughing just to keep from crying. Yeah, you see me laughing, Lord, I'm laughing just to keep from crying.
From the Venable.
What's going on? Mornings with Richard Cross.
It is what it is.
Yes, it is. Super Talk, Mississippi.
Appreciate you spending part of your morning. How did I pronounce that? Morning. Good morning. Thanks for joining us.
A little Welsh in you this morning.
Good morning to you. C-Spire text line is the best way for you to connect and for us to respond. It's brought to you by C-Spire. It's the C-Spire text line at 601-879-4395. The one plan, one, as in the number one plan, from C Spire is here. Fiber home, internet, and wireless. Only $99 a month for new and current C Spire customers. One plan, one price, one experience, zero compromise. You can save over $700 a year with 3 phone lines from C Spire compared to AT&T. Plus, with 5-year price lock, you pay one rate with no surprises guaranteed. And that's just the start. The one plan from C Spire also gives you free 5G phones for each line, a free home Wi-Fi device, free mobile hotspot, and free fiber installation with an exact appointment time that you choose. Even better, you'll get priority customer service from your local C Spire Blue Shoe crew, highly trained and there to ensure that you get the best fiber and wireless experience from day number one. So don't wait. Get the one plan today. Visit your local C Spire store or shop online now at cspire.com/one plan. C Spire, customer inspired. Tim in Tupelo says, "Morning, y'all." Indeed. Indeed. Thanks for joining us. The United States and Israel, more specifically, Donald Trump and Bibi Netanyahu, do not appear to be singing from the same sheet of music, dancing to the beat of the same drummer. In simpatico. You get what I'm saying. Israel's latest strikes on Lebanon and Iran have made clear that President Trump and Bibi Netanyahu, who started the war in lockstep, want different things. This is concerning. Trump has publicly warned Israel not to strike Beirut in its war with Iran-backed Hezbollah militants. When it did, on Sunday, Iran responded, shockingly, by firing ballistic missiles at Israel for the first time since the April ceasefire. So what did Israel do? Well, they shot us. We're going to shoot them. So they struck Iran. And, of course, the president and his envoy have been in negotiations with Iran to end the war for weeks now. The fighting seems to have died down, but the differences between the two leaders likely to persist. Trump wanting to wind down what is an incredibly unpopular war and wants to see the Strait of Hormuz reopened to help ease gas prices, especially with midterms looming. And Iran wants a full ceasefire in Lebanon as the key to any deal that is made. And oh, by the way, it's not just midterms in the United States. It's Benjamin Netanyahu, who is facing elections this year under pressure from his people to stop Hezbollah's attacks and prove that he is winning the war with Iran and its allies, while trying to manage relations with Israel's most important ally, that would be us, the United States, without appearing to kowtow to the United States. So he's got to show strength. He's got to show winning. But he's also got to show a good working relationship with the U.S. while still looking strong in doing so. Relationship status, it's complicated. There is one side of this coin, the side of Israel's coin, that if you put yourself in their shoes, you completely understand. We're fighting with Lebanon. Why? Well, Hezbollah's there. So? Well, Hezbollah is a terrorist organization that serves as a proxy for the hardliners in Iran, that is funded by Iran. So we're trying to negotiate over here, the United States, kind of on our behalf, is trying to negotiate a peace deal with the Iranians in good faith. Meanwhile, a terrorist organization that is funded by the Iranians that lives in Lebanon, immediately to our north, with whom we share a border with, is lobbing bombs and missiles at us. And you don't want us to fight back? C-Spire text line. Mose. Richard, Trump wants peace and a non-nuclear Iran. Netanyahu wants a non-nuclear Iran and the elimination of Hamas. And it's not just Hamas. I mean, really, they would like to get rid of Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis. And I don't blame them for wanting to get rid of all three of those organizations. However, that is their battle to fight. It's not really our battle to fight. But it becomes, at least in part, our battle when we work in lockstep with Israel on one phase of the operation, but then you want it to back off in another area. And it's all interconnected. I mean, this is a tangled spider web. We've all inadvertently walked through a spider web. Is there anything more frustrating?
Especially when you get it like in your mouth and eyes. Oh man, it's the worst.
And it kind of sticks on the side of your face and you start trying to pull that string off and you can't get hold of it. And it's just like, where is it? How did that get wrapped around my... It's in my mouth. And then it's like on your hands and you can't get rid of it. It's kind of where we are right now. We are part of this tangled, spiderwebby mess, and it's really hard to get out of it. And I would argue it's not quite as simple as many would make it to be. You have the side of Israel is our ally. We will stand with Israel. By gosh, we will stand with Israel. You have the opposite side that says basically, screw Israel. This is their fight. We're not a Zionist nation. Stop trying to prop them up. Black and white doesn't exist very much in global politics. And so, how do you live in the gray where you balance this all? Yes, our primary focus is on getting nuclear capability out of Iran. It's the reason that ultimately we went to war over this. How do we do that? We partner with Israel. Their intelligence, their location, their willingness to do things that we are not willing to do and use assets and people that we are not willing to use. All of that made enduring freedom possible. And wildly successful, at least in its initial stage. Yeah, but we also got to get rid of Hamas and Hezbollah and the Houthis. Well, we can't necessarily walk with you step for step down that road. Yeah, but Iran is funding. Yeah, I understand that Iran is funding. We're going to need you to put that fight on hold just for a little while. We got to finish this and tie this up. Yeah, but I've got elections coming up. Yeah, well, we got midterms coming up. Having your interests align directly with your allies' interests are hard. I'll be honest, I don't know what the outcome is on all of this. Israel is our friend. Israel is our ally. But you have to keep a really close eye on Israel because Israel is about Israel first.
From the reaching across the state and across the aisle. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Is there cause for concern in one of the signature economic development projects that is ongoing in Mississippi? I think the answer to that is yes. What does it mean going forward? I'm not sure that we know the answer to that yet. You remember the announcement of Amplify Cell Technologies and the big manufacturing facility in Marshall County that came, when was it first announced? Was it all the way back in 22? Maybe not quite that early. But one of the signature and early items in this just massive run of economic development success for Governor Reeves and his administration. And it's not dead, but it is on hold. And there are multiple reasons why. So, EVE Energy has been part of a joint venture between Accelera by Cummins Daimler Trucks and Buses and PACCAR that established Amplify Cell Technologies. Amplify broke ground on a 21 gigawatt hour factory in Marshall County in June of 2024 to produce battery cells for electric trucks. EVE Energy is the technology partner in the joint venture, and it holds a 10% ownership stake in this in Amplify. Well, that could be a problem because the United States Department of War has listed Chinese lithium iron phosphate battery maker EVE Energy as a, quote, Chinese military company, close quote. The department's list, which is labeled 1260H, is an annually updated roster of Chinese military companies operating directly or indirectly in the United States. The Department of War is restricted from entering into a contract with an entity that is on that list. Earlier this year, so that's one potential problem here. While this is not a direct government contract, you do still have a company that is on the banned Chinese military company list that the federal government is forbidden from doing business with. That's one part of it. Here's the other part. Earlier this year, Amplify issued a worker adjustment and retraining notification, a WARN notification. That was back on April 2nd, laying off 73 of its workers. It's also been made known that the investors in this big project have delayed the start of production at the Mississippi site until at least 2028. The move came after federal subsidies for electric vehicle purchases expired. So you remember during the Biden administration, all of these subsidies that were in place when they were going electric. Well, electric's not going away, but the idea that companies are getting subsidies for production of electric parts, etc., or that companies that put in electric vehicle fleets are going to get subsidies. Without those subsidies, there is less demand. So, what about the project in Marshall County? Well, construction crews are completing the facility, but they are not installing the manufacturing equipment. That has been postponed, at least for now. And Amplify's website shows a message that says account suspended. EVE's inclusion on the Department of War's latest notice of availability of designation of Chinese military companies does complicate the matter. Here's what the Department of War said about EVE. They're a military-civil fusion contributor to the Chinese Defense Industrial Base because it knowingly received assistance from the government of China through science, technology, research, or industrial efforts initiated, granted, or created by, or provided under, or related to the Chinese military industrial planning apparatus, etc. Now, did Mississippi knowingly get in bed with a company that is labeled a Chinese military company? I think the answer to that is no. In January of 2024, Governor Reeves stated that EVE Energy was a company out of China, but it was privately owned, not owned by the Chinese government. When asked about a foreign company being involved in the joint venture, the governor then said that America needs to work toward providing more jobs to Americans. The governor was quoted saying this: at the end of the day, this is what America ought to be doing. For far too many years, technology was developed in the United States, and that technology was taken to China and manufactured in China. The reality is we need to bring jobs back to America, and the way that you do that is the technology is owned by a private Chinese company, not one owned by the government, where we bring these jobs to America to make America great again through manufacturing excellence. In theory, 100% accurate. In theory. In reality, is there any such thing? And this is a question. This is not an accusation. This is genuinely a question. Is there any such thing as a privately held Chinese company? Even if they actually are a privately held Chinese company, because when you operate in a military state like China, a communist nation like China, even if a company is private, are they really? Doesn't the Chinese government get what they want, access what they want? Mose on the C Spire text line. Honestly, China could refuse to buy aircraft from America for the same reasons. They all make aircraft or parts for the military. Thomas says Whiskey Pete hadn't labeled them an enemy back then. He's talking about Pete Hegseth with a cute little nickname for him. Thomas says, speaking of government ownership, why are we buying stakes in private companies? Wasn't that part of the whole sovereign fund strategy that never seemed to quite get off the ground? It's a foreign concept for the United States. But I thought, given some of the issues that we've talked about with regard to debt and deficit, that it's not a terrible strategy, especially given what the American stock market has done over the last decade. We are throwing away so much money on interest payments and debt and everything else that investing in American companies doesn't say. Now, I understand that gets to be a slippery slope a little bit. Well, the government's got an ownership stake in that company. Are we directing? I mean, it's got to be arm's length transaction stuff. bad example to use here, but kind of a Chinese firewall in place.
Ooh.
Given the content of that particular story, maybe calling it that's not the best plan.
A few holes in that firewall, probably.
Yes, probably so. Probably so. But the idea of the United States of America investing in America does not strike me as quite as troublesome as it does some. Am I off base on that, Lance?
No, I mean, I think, EVE's got a 10% stake in the company. I think that's probably where I would worry the most is. So I don't think you're off base at all. But, yeah, you need...
No, I mean, on the idea of the United States of America investing in America and American companies.
Oh, that's what I'm saying. I think you're 100% right. The thing that bothers me is that you got a communist country with a company that's investing in America 10% stake. I think it's strange bedfellows. So I'm with you. Yeah, I have no problem with America investing in America. Don't really care much for having communists bring their cash over here and invest it in American businesses. Now, that's me, though. It just seems to be strange bedfellows.
We'll wrap things up with you coming up next. Mornings with Richard Cross on SuperTalk, Mississippi.
Come on in. You might run across, some of your old friends.
From the
And now, Mornings with Richard Cross. What's up?
Let's get the show going.
SuperTalk, Mississippi.
You go and I'll come with you, little babe.
All right, so I asked the question earlier today. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi, wrapping it up with you on this Tuesday morning, the 9th of June, 2026. Mornings presented by Community Bank. CommunityBank.net. Rooted in our community, is complaining about every election loss and claiming fraud every time your guy, your team loses an election. The same thing as the fan that always blames the officials. It was never because the other team was better. It was never because we were poorly coached or our players weren't as good. It's the officials.
You're pulling a Lane Kiffin now.
It's the officials' fault. It's always the officials' fault. Is complaining about fraud every time you lose an election or you don't win an election. Is it the same thing? I've kind of grown weary of us hearing from the president every single time the Democrats stole the election. I've kind of grown weary of that. But I get this, and I'm like, well, maybe he's right. Guess what? Nick Shirley of Independent Investigative Journalism fame, the Early Leering Center in Minneapolis. He's back at it, this time in California. Take a listen.
So how old is this person who's eligible to vote here inside the United States, inside the state of California?
126 based on the Secretary of State.
And this is Doris.
Yeah.
And now we're going to see if Doris is home. Are you Doris?
She's right here. Yes.
Hello, Doris.
Yes.
How are you doing?
I'm good.
We're just going through the voting rolls here, and we're just confirming anybody who's above the age of 100 years old. And right here it says you're 126 years old.
No, you got the wrong house. That's a lie.
Are you Doris Wood?
Yeah, but you got the wrong house. I'm Doris Wood, but you got the wrong place. That's the wrong information, all that stuff. No, that's wrong.
Oh, here, I can show you if you like.
No, it's just that it's wrong.
How come you think here in California they're just messing up on all these voting rolls here?
I don't know, because I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it says you voted in 51 elections, Doris.
No, not me.
Really?
I'm not no 100-some years old.
I know.
I said I wasn't.
I just want to make sure you're not 126 years old.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, it really does say you're 126 years old here.
No. Who did this be 126? That don't even make sense.
I know. That's what the Secretary of State says.
Well, the Secretary of State is wrong.
Okay, well.
Put it like this. I was born in 1940. So you figure that out.
All right. Just one random. I'm sure we're going to get a long piece from Nick Shirley where he shows incident after incident after incident of this. Voter roll in California. Doris is 126 years old and has voted in 51 elections.
Sounds like the Secretary of State may have gotten his education at the Leering Center.
Doris, are you 126? No, I'm not 126. Says you voted in 51 elections. Nope, that's not me. I was born in 1940. She didn't want to give her age. Said you do the math. And so I am left, and I think many of you are left with the exact same question, right? Are you tired of hearing President Trump and others claim voter fraud, beat the drum for election integrity every time we have an election and Republicans lose? Yes, sick of hearing about it. Do more, be better. But 126-year-old Doris that's voted in 51 of elections, clearly not the case. An honor system in California to register for vote. Are you who you say you are? Yes, I am. Send me a ballot. And they do. And they don't stop sending them. Ever. Spencer Pratt's problem in California, in Los Angeles, is practical in nature. Republicans only make up 15% of the voting population, registered voting population in Los Angeles. 2 million voters, 15% are Republicans. The numbers were never in his favor. They call it a jungle primary in California. No political affiliation listed. Top two candidates run off unless the top candidate gets over 50%. Probably is only 15% of the entire voting registration in L.A. is Republican. You're not just starting behind the 8 ball. You're playing 1-on-12 against 8 balls. Not that kind of 8 ball. Thanks for being with us. Although in California, maybe. Mornings with Richard Cross, SuperTalk, Mississippi. Have a great Tuesday.
I know if you can't make it, your sister Lucille says she want to go.
A SuperTalk Mississippi media production.